Today I'm going to be doing a calendar which was featured on my blog, Suzanne's Cardcraft. And the reason I'm just mentioning that is because you'll obviously see the original calendar that I've done if you go and have a look on the site there. Here's the basis of the calendar. It's not completely finished because I'm going to actually work through the whole demonstration today. So but it just gives you an idea of the finish, but it's just with some of the preparation that I've done so far. I'm going to use the new Joanna Sheen, The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady CD, which just has some wonderful images within it. It's a double CD, but it just has, you know, like I say, these lovely images that you can see. But if you actually look on the website itself, you'll get to see a video link with all the different images, so it takes you through the CD, which is well worth having a look at. So, how I go about doing this calendar, I've actually changed it slightly from when I did my original one, because I backed it onto card, but I thought for a nicer effect what I'd do is take a piece of text and graphic paper, 160 gram GSM, which you get from Staples, and I've printed on both sides. This way it saves matting this onto another piece of card, and you can just do your design directly onto it. So here I've got the calendar which I've printed off, which comes in a whole sheet, and as you can see there's a bit of a wider gap at the bottom here, so I've cut out the calendar itself so that I've ended up getting the smaller shape, and I'm going to be placing it at the bottom of the page so that I have a larger space at the top. So I'm going to do it as I've done before, just by moving the tabs so that I can get the piece exactly where I want it. Place the design down. It's basically about a centimetre width all the way around. And when I'm happy, just touching the four corners, I can just pull off the tape and just press down, and there you have your piece securely on. Normally I'd perhaps do gold pen touch around the outside, but because there's, you know, obviously 12 sheets on there, that can take quite a long while. So the idea behind this is to print off, and I've mounted all the different sheets. On my other design I used the rose stamp because that was the actual one that I needed for the sample, and I used August because that was the month of the launch of the CD, so which was a nice poppy design. But because I've gone for January being the start, I just felt that the colours didn't work right, so I wanted to bring out perhaps the blues which were in the image itself. So what I've done for that is to use a bluebell design. Because it's quite a hefty piece once you've got 12 sheets of paper, I've mounted it onto this is a hardboard or mount board that I got as a remnant from an art shop. It came in 15 pieces for £1.50, so it's worth just going in and seeing if they've got any offcuts. And the measurement of this piece is 22 centimetres by 48 centimetres. You won't need it as long as that, but when I prepared this piece last night, you want your width here, and I've actually cut it off a little bit too short here, and I would say that you'd need a good to cut it off at the 2 centimetre point here, and I'll explain why. It just gives you enough. You need to have your 2 holes here, but it gives you enough space to have a nice header, which I'm going to show you how to make later as well. It also gives you the space to put your stamped image on here. But I found when I did my original one, I put the rose stamp on the top, but because I've changed it slightly and not gone for a plain border, I felt it was a bit too fussy, so I've actually gone with the plainness, and I'm not actually going to stamp on that piece. So as I say, I want to go through and try and do as much as I can now, so I'm going to do that. So take your mount board. I'm not going to cut this piece, but as I say, make it to the top of your design here, and then cut it about 2 centimeters across the top, because you can always trim it down slightly afterwards. So take your Memento ink pad and your stamp, which I've got here, the bluebells. Just lightly tap the ink on the stamp. Now I've not gone on to the leaf side because I'm actually going to angle it so the bluebell heads go just off the page. And what you want to do is just get that effect. Rather than stamping and using the whole area, I just want to go off the page. And carry on doing that. All the way around your design until you've completed it. I'm not going to do the whole lot just because obviously it's just a repeat of what I'm doing here. And then take some pro markers. I found because I'm using the mount board, it does seep up the ink quite a lot, so just be careful when you're working on it. I tend to just lightly put the tip into the paper and let it bleed out if it's going to bleed, so don't go right to the edge to begin with. And I tend to work just working on one side. Bluebells are sort of a funny colour because they're not, you know, there's a bit of tinge of purple in there. So what I tend to do is place my stamp sheet on there, so I've just got reference for the colours. So just go about colouring in and then putting the green stem and work all the way through, and then once you're finished you'll end up with a sheet like this. I'm going to stop this workshop here because I know that I'll run over in time and then continue with a new second piece.